Talk about that, Mr. King. What's the purpose of the Impact Award?
Okay, and again, as I said a little earlier, it's an opportunity to recognize some of those corporations that have contributed greatly to the success of expanding minority businesses in the area. It's also an opportunity to have an informal network. You know, this, as Carl said earlier, this has been a good time for us to talk off the record about what kinds of things can TVA do with minority businesses such that we can provide better opportunities. And I can share some insights from a corporate perspective such that we can, regardless of whether we do business together or not, we can both learn from each other so we can be more successful the next time we go out to compete for a contract.
In other words, you might not be able to make a connection now, but the relationship that you can establish at that particular point will help you in future.
Certainly, and that's the essence of business, is informal communications. It says, as opportunities arise in the future, when in fact that requirement comes up and you say, I think that Carl might be the excellent quality minority supplier to meet this requirement.
I think in addition to that, though, the function is a one-night event. I mean, even though there's a lot of work that's done prior to that night, that leads up to it. But I think probably what's important is the fact that throughout the year, the Tennessee Minority Purchasing Council networking smaller companies with major corporations to create relationships, and as a result of that, to create business opportunities. And that's probably very significant.
You know, as a person, Mr. Jones, who has been involved in many aspects of the business enterprise, let's have you to look at some of the possibilities that young people might become involved in terms of franchising. You've been involved in franchise operation. I think you've indicated that you've had at least 5 McDonald's franchises. Well, what are some of the things that you can say after that kind of experience that perhaps might either encourage people or at least give some information in terms of how it ought to be done?
Well, let me just say, first of all, the 5 I had reference to was combined between my brother and I. Okay, but the franchise business itself is a good business if you have a good product. And if the company that you're buying the franchise from has got the expertise and the knowledge to support you in your efforts, marketing, if it's printed material, any type of legal information related to personnel, workman's comp, if they got buying power, it's a tremendous training ground for a business person. I'm a firm believer everything has a shelf life, and at some point the shelf life will expire. But I think it's an opportunity, if it's the right company, that could create a foundation that will have long-lasting impact on a person's future. Because the basic principles of business are the same. The product might be different, but you deal with, you know, personnel, hiring, you deal with profit and loss statements, you deal with advertising, you know, you deal with controls. I mean, they're basically the same. There's not a very little difference.
Now, Mr. King, quite a bit has been said quite recently concerning affirmative action. And I'm almost sure that the Tennessee Valley Authority is certainly very positive in reference to affirmative action. But let's look at some of the things that the TVA has been involved in order to demonstrate, or at least to show its diversity. You know, if we talk about the upcoming Impact Awards and whatnot, why should Tennessee Valley Authority be considered perhaps as one of the winners of such awards?
Okay. Let me speak to the issue of the whole contracting arena, because that's one I'm very familiar with. You know, TVA is very committed to expanding business relationship with minority vendors. We go out and pursue identifying quality minority vendors in which to expand relationships with. For example, minority vendors, minority citizens throughout the valley purchase power from TVA. So that says we have some responsibility to show reciprocity in our contractual relationships. So it's a natural supply chain. It says that we're very much committed to recognize that the citizens of the valley buy power from us, and we, in fact, contribute to economic development by creating jobs and buying from folks in the valley.
So you do make a positive movement in reference to that kind of affirmative action?
Certainly, our board is very much in favor of expanding relationships with minority vendors, woman-owned business, valley-owned businesses, and we've shown some fairly significant increase in the expenditures in that whole area over the last several years.
Let me just comment briefly on that. I think that I like the approach that Victor has in relationship to, but I think that for those who are overly concerned about that, I would not be concerned about it, because usually if one door closes, there's another door to open up. So I would just prepare myself to become a very good business person. I think if corporate America will have a responsibility because we are consumers. I think the federal government has a responsibility because we pay a lot of taxes. And I think if necessary, that can be put on a table where it would make business sense to everybody. I mean, in some areas you have no control over, but there are others you have control over. And I think the areas we have control over, we should work those areas.
And we all can make a difference. And for example, in corporate America, it is very rewarding to me as an African American to create economic development in the Valley with minority businesses. That says that I can go out and sign contracts, and we can create jobs, and we can make a difference. So that says we all can make our contributions through entrepreneurship as well as in corporate America.
And I think what the two of you are saying is that even though there's quite a bit of negative talk in reference to affirmative action, that affirmative action has really demonstrated itself and that it's good for both the private sector as well as the government sector. Would that be a correct assessment in terms of what the two of you are saying?
Oh, sure. And plus, it's not people make it a black or white issue. It's not that. It's good business. It's good economics. You know, if you get a return on your investment, if you got a product you can sell, if you expand that market, then it makes sense. Integration did that. Look what the integration did for the market as a whole. It expanded the market. And affirmative action has expanded the market. And it's made us, example, you know, we should be able to contribute to FISC or Meharry. I want somebody to give me something where I can give to FISC. Give us an opportunity where we can create the kind of jobs and create the business where we can do it ourselves. And that's what it's all about. I mean, we don't need, and this is what Victor's talking about. And this is, I'm glad to hear him say, he has a sense of pride in being able to create opportunities for African-American businesses. And that's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, and it's great for corporate America because what happens is if I work with Carl and Jones to be more competitive, that means they're also going to be more competitive and create more jobs with other large corporations. I'd sell more power. Everybody wins in it. I mean, it's a win-win all over. And it simply says that, but corporate America has to be responsible. It has to recognize its investment in programs such as TMPC and the Impact Awards, and in fact, an investment in its future.
In other words, no matter what the words might be coming out of Washington, D.C., that those who are connected with the Tennessee Minority Purchasing Council in Tennessee should recognize the importance of what has been done by the Tennessee Minority Purchasing Council up to this point, and to even more support it now that there are these sort of negative things that are being issued in reference to affirmative action.
Yes, the TMPC has a long history of bringing corporate America with minority businesses, with educators, with civic leaders, to in fact create a very positive and successful business environment.
Now let's talk about the impact of